Welcome into Valpo Sports Night. I'm your host, Drew Taylor. On today's show, we'll talk about the Crusaders' chance at an NCAA tournament bid, Jeremy Lin, as well as spring training. But first things first, let's meet our guest, Sam Zucker, to my right, sports information assistant at VU, as well as Andrew Stem, sports reporter for WVUR. Guys, the baseball team is off to a 2-1 start, but I want to get your opinion on the best pitcher and best hitter for the Brown and Gold thus far.
When I think you look at the mound, I think the discussion begins and ends with Tyler Deachin. Last year, 4 wins, 4 complete games. He only walked 12 hitters in 103 innings. And you take a look what he did already this year. Last Friday night against Murray State, 7 shutout innings, only 4 hits. He walked just 1 hitter. It was a game they ended up winning in 13 innings. He didn't factor in the decision. But he's going to be a guy the Crusaders are going to trot out every Friday night. And if he can give you 6 to 7 really strong innings, that's going to set the table, because once you get in the Horizon League Series, you win a game on Friday, then you just got to pick up 1 more to pick up the series win. And if he can be, so it's going to be guys like Hagel who are going to be asked to drive in those runs and maybe win some games, 8 to 7 instead of 3 to 2. Hopefully you can do on later on in the year.
I like both those picks, especially Andrew Bain, just because last year it seemed like there was a lack of a table setter in front of Will Hagel, in front of Kyle Goodell. This year you got a guy like Andrew Bain who's a scrappy guy. Might not get many doubles, triples, or home runs, but he's going to be that guy that can punch one the other way and get on base. Always has a high on base percentage, so I like Andrew Bain at the top of that lineup. Guys, let's switch gears now to the Crusader men's basketball team. They defeated Loyola Chicago on Tuesday to clinch the Horizon League regular season title. However, what is this team's biggest weakness going forward?
Really, I think offensively, it is the fact that there are so few players on offense who are capable of coming up with their own shot and making it happen by themselves. Ryan Brokoff is one of the few guys who's really good at doing that. You look at guys like Ben Boggs, Will Bogan, Eric Buggs. Buggs is capable of getting into the lane, but he's not looking as much to take the ball all the way to the basket. He's looking to kick it out to one of those shooters. And guys like Boggs and Bogan and even Jay Harris are really capable shooters, but not so much capable of putting the ball on the floor, just getting into the lane and creating their own shot. And I think that was a lot of what you saw on Tuesday night. There was a lot of passivity, passing around the three-point arc, letting the shot clock run down, and then it was like, oh, it's 7 seconds. We have to go now and try and come up, and you get an off-balance 22-foot three-point shot, and I think that's kind of the one area where if teams can sort of lock down on Brokoff defensively, that's where you might see the Crusader offense struggle a little bit, because there are so few other guys capable of just making their own shots. There are guys who are really good at making shots for other people, but you're not going to see Bogan or Boggs really ever put the ball on the deck and try and take it to the hole.
Okay. I'm going to go the other side of the ball. Defense, I thought on Tuesday was the biggest thing. We play 2-3 zone a lot. 90% of the time we're in the zone, and we're having trouble rotating. So we're giving up those open threes, and we saw that if the team is hot, shooting, we're not going to be able to stop them. It did show a little bit better once we went to man, but I think that defense rotating around the arc is going to be our biggest key come the Horizon League tournament.
My issue is guard play. I mean, I like what Eric Buggs can do, penetration, great defensive intensity. But when he gets in the lane, I'd like to see him be a little bit more aggressive, have the confidence to go up with the bigger guys, because I think he is one of the better finishes on this Crusader team. He just doesn't use those skills like he should. He passes out usually for a three-pointer. But again, Will Bogan, very streaky shooter. So if you don't get any offense from your starting point guard and shooting guard, that's tough to do. You know what you're going to get from Brokoff and Van Vyk. But again, I think it's going to be guard play that comes when it comes down to it.
We talked about it before. You got to have more than Brokoff and Van Vyk. You got to have that third or fourth scorer. And Buggs he's a facilitator. He's not a scorer. But you need Bogan or you need Harris, you need Edwards to be hot.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if one of those guys has to step up, because you know what you're going to get from Brokoff and Van Vyk. And then sometimes the guard play is just lacking in my mind.
And I think you do have to feel pretty good about having the Horizon League tournament be here at the Arc, if for no other reason than guys are real comfortable with shooting backgrounds. Talk about guys like you're looking for somebody to get hot, like Jay Harris or Bogan or somebody like that, as opposed to going to an unfamiliar arena where you've only played one time before this year and maybe a couple of times previously in their career. They've played a lot of games here in the Arc. They're familiar with the shooting surroundings and all that stuff. They're familiar with the floor, all that good stuff. So the odds of somebody getting hot would seem to me to be far more likely playing home games than they would if they had to go on the road somewhere.
Okay, sticking with the basketball team now, I want to talk about Bryce Drew. Is he Horizon League Coach of the Year? He's had a very successful season, taking over for his father, Homer. What do you guys think? Is there any other coach that could rival him as potential Horizon League Coach of the Year?
Honestly, I don't. Of course, I'm a little biased. Bryce Drew's my boy. But, given the circumstances, losing 3 of your top 4 scorers, you have no seniors. It's his first year in the program.
Yeah.
Right. You know, just given those circumstances and fighting through that, to be 13-4 at this point, I think he does deserve Horizon League Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that at all, and I don't really even think it's that close. This was a team that was picked to finish 5th in the preseason poll, and you know, I think that was basically what the expectations were when people were coming in. Was, you know, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get from Kevin. You lost all this scoring. You know, this is a chance to build for next year, and they've got a chance with a win against Butler on Friday to win the league by at least 2 full games. And to have done that in his first year, and to have taken everything that he had and gotten this set and ready to go and be able to host the Horizon League tournament at the Arc, yeah, there's no question he's the Conference Coach of the Year.
I'm also very interested to see how good of a recruiter he's going to be, because I know he went on a lot of recruiting trips when he was an assistant coach, but now as the head coach, how is he going to fare, things like that. I'm very excited to see what kind of talent he could bring in, because historically the Crusaders have had to go overseas. They haven't been able to lock down, you know, a top high school prospect, things of that nature. What do you guys think? Do you think he can lock down some, you know, good high school guys?
Yeah, what I think the biggest thing is going to be, he's going to get the local guys. You know, the Robbie Hummels, the Steve Novaks that go to, you know, Big Ten schools. I think that he's going to make a case for them to come to Valpo and maybe have a Butler run 2 years in a row. And I think that, you know, the players can relate to him more so than Homer. Not saying Homer did anything wrong.
Right.
It's just Bryce was the man at Valpo, and then he went on to play in the NBA. Guys are going to see that and know that he knows what he's talking about, and then they're going to want to play for him.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to come in and sit in a recruit's living room and say, I've been in the NBA. I know how to get there. I can get you there. And I think exactly what Sam said. You talk about you know, with not having any scholarship seniors on this year's team, you know, he hasn't had to do a lot of recruiting for next year. I think they have 1 open scholarship, which they may or may not decide to use. But you talked about a local kid, and you look at Davidson from Andrean in the class of 2013, and being able to get in there and get a local guy, and not only get him to commit, but get him to commit early in his junior year, before kind of the other big programs come in, like you saw with Zach Novak, you saw with Robbie Hummel, kind of the bigger schools come in and take that talent out. And instead, you know, he got on him early, got him to commit. You know, he can't sign his national letter of intent yet until November, but you know, he's gotten that early, and that's going to be real important. There are a lot of really talented kids in this area, and if you can keep the local kids in here, keep the Indiana and Illinois kids, then you can absolutely make a run at Butler and have the 2 Indiana schools be really the dominant schools in this league for a long time to come.
Well, Bryce Drew's team will be on display next weekend during the Horizon League Championships. Speaking of the Horizon League Championships, I want to talk about Valpo or Horizon League charging Crusader students to get in the door. I want to get your thoughts on that. For me personally, I'm outraged at it. I go to school here. We pay enough money. You think that in the spirit of the Horizon League Championships, they'd want to get as much fan and student interest as possible. And when students have to pay, you know there's going to be multiple people that just won't go.
You know, when we pay $30,000 a year, I think they can find $10 out of that 30 to throw for a ticket for us to get in. I don't agree with us having to pay for it.
I'm not necessarily sure I agree with it, but in terms of why the conference tournament exists, it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
I mean, because when you look at it realistically, all the conference tournaments are money grabs. Realistically, if you wanted to get the best teams all the time into the field of 68, you would just do like the Ivy League does, do like the Big Ten did for a long time, like the Pac-10 did for a long time, and just give it the automatic bid to your regular season champion. But because they're all about money grabs, and that's exactly what these tournaments are, it's all about making money. The best way to make money is to charge the students. Now, it's nice that they're not being charged as much as the regular tickets. It's still kind of ridiculous that you've been able to go to games for free all year and now all of a sudden have to pay. But at the same time, it does at least make business sense in terms of we're trying to make money. This is how we're going to do it.
Fair enough. We'll see what happens. Maybe Valpo will come forward and subsidize a little bit of the Horizon League cost. Probably not.
Wouldn't hold your breath.
It's wishful thinking. But either way, on that note, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll talk about spring training and the NCAA format. You're watching Valpo Sports Night. Stay tuned.
I'm Molly, and I'm on VUTV.
We're from Kappa Kappa Gamma. We're on VUTV.
Hi, my name is Mike. I'm the WVUR General Manager, and I'm on VUTV.
We're always and we're on VUTV.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Aliana.
And we're on VUTV.
Hey, what's up? I'm Milk. And I'm Matt. We're on VUTV.
I'm Helen Dahlian. I'm on VUTV.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Claire.
My name's Sarah.
And we're on
VUTV.
We're Kappa Delta and we're on VUTV.
I'm Rachel, and I'm on VUTV.
Hi, I'm Matthias.
I'm Hillary.
And I'm Philip.
And we're on
VUTV.
I'm Tom, and I'm on VUTV.
I'm Amanda, and I'm on VUTV.
Hey, I'm Ted, and I'm on VUTV.
We're Valparaiso Ultimate, and we're on VUTV.
We're UPC and we're on VUTV.
We're the Torch, and we're on VUTV.
We're Delta Sigma Pi, and we're on VUTV.
We're Student Senate, and we're on VUTV.
We're Vuvox, and we're on VUTV.
We're Alliance, and we're on VUTV.
We're the Crusader Pep Band, and we're on VUTV.
We're Mesa, and we're on VUTV.
We're Handles, and we're on VUTV.
Hello, I'm Kathleen, and I am with Housing Opportunities, and I am on VUTV.
Hi, we're the Lutheran Deaconess Association, and we're on VUTV. We are Greek University, and we're on VUTV.
I'm ROTC, and I'm on VUTV.
I'm Zach Clark, and I'm on VUTV.
We're Sigma Phi Epsilon, and we're on VUTV.
Welcome back into Valpo SportsNite. Again, joining me today is Sam Zucker, Sports Information Assistant for VU, and Andrew Stem, Sports Reporter for WVUR. Guys, baseball season is right around the corner. I've been looking forward to it for a long time.
Thank goodness.
Spring training pitches and catches have reported. Players are on their way as well. Who's your surprise pick coming out of spring training, and who has the most to prove?
Most to prove, it would be easy to say somebody like Prince Fielder or Albert Pujols, somebody who's taken a lot of money, or even Yu Darvish, coming over from Japan and being with the Rangers. But I'm going to go with Jesus Montero, the designated hitter now for the Mariners, if for no other reason than the Mariners valued him enough to trade away one of the prized young arms in Major League Baseball in Michael Pineda to the Yankees. They have seen something in him that makes them say, this guy is worth trading the second best arm in our franchise behind Felix Hernandez to try and get him and try and bolster this offense. And, he seemed to have some success in the limited time he had in the Bronx last year, but this is a guy who's going to be counted on to slide into that 3 or 4 slot, probably the 4 slot behind Ichiro, because they just announced Ichiro is going to be in the 3, and drive in runs consistently, because Seattle has been so bad at scoring runs for such a long time. And it's going to be on his shoulders to kind of step up and build this offense. And that's a lot to ask of a guy who's 21, 22 years old.
Knock on him is that he can't hit a curveball yet, or at least a major league curveball. We'll see if that happens. You hate to see another Daisuke Matsuzaka thing where he's great overseas, comes here, and doesn't perform. But go ahead, Zach.
My guy with the most to prove is Hanley Ramirez. When they signed Reyes, Guillen wanted to slide him over to third, and he was a little disgruntled about it. He's a little better now.
A little disgruntled. It doesn't begin to describe it.
He recently came out saying, he's been all smiles, saying that he's willing to do this. But it's easy to say that to reporters.
Absolutely.
Come April 5th, we're going to see how well he does. I think that the Miami Marlins, their team rides on how well Hanley is going to play with Reyes and for Guillen. And I think, this spring training, he's going to have a lot to prove to the fans and to the whole baseball community.
What about Albert Pujols, guys? I mean, he signed a huge deal with another team, not St. Louis. If he would have signed that with St. Louis, had a couple down years, the fans would have been like, okay, you know what, we're going to be a little bit more patient because he's done so much for us. The fans of Anaheim, I don't know if they're going to be as patient or forgiving. If Pujols does have sort of a down year, they're going to look at the pocketbook and say, this is how much we're paying you. I don't know if we should give that much lenience.
I guess the problem is when you look at something like that, what would you call a down year for Pujols? Is if he hits 270, hits 25 home runs, and still drives in 90. That's not one of the years you're used to in St. Louis, but that's still a pretty good year.
But you're paying him for
maybe
more than that.
it's not worth $25 million or $30 million, whatever they're paying him this year. But so it depends on if they win. If they win, even if he struggles, I'm sure they will be more lenient.
Right.
If he struggles and they aren't winning, the people in Los Angeles, we know how they've treated Kobe. You see how they treat other guys, and they're not going to be hesitant to say, you know what, we think you need to perform better.
Okay.
I don't think he really needs to prove anything. I mean, the man's a machine. He's arguably the best right-handed hitter the game has seen.
He has to win over another fan base, so that's my thing. He has to
right, and he'll do that if he keeps up what he's been doing. I mean, if he doesn't, then he's gonna struggle there. He's not gonna like LA, but no, I think he'll be just fine.
Opening day starts April 6th. We're all looking forward to that, and obviously spring training is well underway. Guys, switching gears now as we get ready for March Madness again this year. Is there a need for more teams in the NCAA tournament, or do you like it as the field of 68 right now?
I think 68 is plenty. Okay. I mean, I really don't want to see March Madness going to June. I think each conference winner getting the automatic bid is great.
I love that.
And then the at-large bids, I like how they do it. I think that it's a good fit. I like how we're at 68 teams now, so the 16 seeds have to play in. That gives 4 more teams to say they went dancing.
Basically 4 more at-large bids.
Yeah. I like how it is, and I don't think it should change.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree slightly. I think 68 is too many. I thought the play-in game was terrible when it was at 65. 64 is such a nice, even number. And really the big thing is, if they change the format a little bit, if they made the first 4 all at-large bids, if they took the last 4 in, the last 4 out, and then said, you guys are going to face off against each other in Dayton on that Tuesday, and the 4 winners will slot into the 12 seeds, or 11 seeds, 2 11s, 2 12s, however you have to work out the math. I think that would be, can you imagine the sort of drama that those games, everybody would tune in for those. The problem I have, and I think part of it is being a student here at Valpo, when in 2000, Valpo lost to Michigan State in the first round of the NCAA tournament in a 1-16 game. Can you imagine what it would be like if they had gone and they'd had the play-in game then, and it's like, you know what, you're not going to play Michigan State. We're going to send you to Dayton, and you're going to play Alabama A&M, and if you lose, that's your NCAA tournament experience. Nothing against the great people of Dayton. They put on a fabulous show out there for those teams. But you don't get the same sort of experience of going into these big arenas, doing all the major press conferences, and just being able to experience the whole thing. And another problem is the 16 seeds, it seems like it's the same 4 or 5 conferences all the time that end up in the bottom of the RPI, like the NEC or the SWAC or the MEAC or something like that. It doesn't rotate, so you get these same teams, and they continually are experiencing this over and over again instead of going to Omaha and getting a chance to play Missouri or something. Now, you probably get run out of the building by 55, and you don't get the chance to say you won this playing, but the experience is different if you don't win that game, and I really do think to the really small schools that's incredibly unfair, and if they want to play for more at-large bids, that's perfectly fine. I think people would love to watch that, like NC State and Northwestern this year or something like that. I think a lot of people would tune in to do that, and I really do think it just isn't fair to the smaller schools.
I personally have no sympathy for teams that complain that they didn't get in, because you know what, there are plenty of at-large bids. If you didn't get in, it's because of your body of work, it's because of your resume, and I don't want to hear any complaining to the selection committee about a team not getting in. My last question on this is, would you rather have a team that's 500 in the Big Ten, or that almost ran the table in a conference like the Horizon League, maybe had 4 or 5 losses, like a Valpo? If Valpo doesn't win the conference tournament, would you rather see a Valpo? Obviously, we're biased. But would you rather see a Valpo team, or would you rather see a Northwestern team that battled tough in a tough conference, but didn't finish in the top 3 or 4 in their division?
I'd rather see the Big Ten team, because they're going to compete a little bit better against, they're not going to lose that first game necessarily. They're going to compete better against the bigger, a little bit better teams.
Okay.
And I just feel like a team in the Horizon League that did, run the table but then lost in the conference tournament
doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree again. You take a look at VCU and USC last year. It was almost the exact scenario where you would play, and they played a game like that. USC was like 19-14. I have no idea how they ended up in there. Their RPI was, I guess, really good or whatever. And VCU absolutely ran them out of the building. USC couldn't have looked any less interested to be there. And I think in terms of something like that, a team from a power conference who goes 500 in this conference, what you're going to get from them. But you have no idea if a team like VCU, because they don't get all that much experience. Nobody's going to go to Richmond and play them. Nobody's going to come to Yark and play Valpo. Nobody's going to go to Hinkle and play Butler anymore, or anybody else. Nobody's going to go to the Wolstein Center and play Cleveland State. You're not going to get the Big Ten or the Big 12 or whoever to come in and do that. So you get guarantee games, and then you try and win some of them. For the most part, that's why your record tends to suffer. And you don't know what you're going to get from them. And I would rather see somebody that you don't know what they're going to get and maybe get hot and make a run into the Sweet 16 or something like that, as opposed to a Northwestern who might be nice and win one game, but they're going to get bounced in the round of 32.
I hope the selection committee takes the business side out of it, because I know it's way more money if you invite a team like Michigan. I mean, they're going to make it anyways this year, but in the past, if you invite a team like Michigan who has a huge following, as opposed to a smaller school that maybe deserves it.
Right.
I just hope they take that out of it, and it should be the best 68 teams. That'll be more debate coming as far as that goes. But on that note, we're going to take one final timeout. On the other side, we'll talk about the NBA trade deadline as well as Linsanity. You're watching Valpo Sports Night. Stay tuned.
I'm Brandon Spinner, and I'm on VUTV.
I'm Lisa Meadows, and I'm on VUTV.
We're Women's Ultimate Frisbee, and we're on VUTV.
I'm Tristan Leonard, and I'm on VUTV.
We're Men's Ultimate Frisbee, and we're on VUTV.
Hi, my name is Nicole Graham. I'm an admission counselor here at Valpo, and I'm on VUTV.
We're Air Force ROTC, and we're on VUTV.
We're Mock Trial, and we're on VUTV.
Welcome back in for our final segment of the day. Guys, I want to talk about the NBA trade deadline. Do you see a team going out and getting a Dwight Howard or things like that? What are the potential trades you see as we approach the deadline?
I do think that Dwight Howard's going to be moved to where, I don't know yet. Could be a surprise. But I don't see any really other big moves happening at the deadline. I think teams are pretty content right now, and especially when we kind of had the shortened season. I think guys are the general managers are kind of looking to play with the team they have right now.
The one move I could potentially see happening is I still think the Bulls want to make a move to solidify their front court somehow.
Okay.
I don't think they're happy with Carlos Boozer. I mean, they're content with Carlos Boozer, but I think if they could upgrade somehow. A friend of mine floated the crazy idea that they're going to try and get Pau Gasol. I'm not sure they can do that without basically giving up whatever hope they have of trying to win this year, other than getting rid of Derrick Rose. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if they would try to package some players and some picks to try and get somebody in the front court that can help them out a little bit more, that can battle against somebody like Chris Bosh or somebody like on the Wizards. When you see it and you start to get in the Eastern Conference playoffs, they're going to need another bigger body down low to try and go at it, and if they really want to make a run at winning the Eastern Conference this year.
I think teams are going to stay quiet. For the most part, there's a lot of injuries in the NBA this year, so GMs are sitting back and saying, you know what, I could go out and risk my future and try to pick up an established veteran, or I could wait for the guy who's coming back in a couple weeks, who's got a knee injury or what have you, and we'll have him for the stretch run. So I think a lot of, like I said, I think there's a big waiting game as far as it goes in the NBA right now, and I don't think anybody wants to go out and risk their future.
And it's going to be interesting, too, to see what some guys, general managers, decide to do, because you look at it and you go, maybe over a shortened season, this is our shot to make our run.
Sure.
Because, teams that are a little bit older, you see the Spurs have won 12 in a row, won 11 in a row before they got pounded in Portland the other night. They're a little bit older, but playing 66 games instead of the 82. Now, I know there are a lot more back-to-backs, but playing fewer games, maybe you save the legs a little bit more. Sure. Maybe they decide this is our shot to make one more run at it, and maybe they try to pick up somebody just for a year who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, but someone who might be the difference for them trying to get to the NBA Finals.
Okay, guys, now sticking with the NBA, there's been a lot of coverage about Knicks point guard Jeremy Lin. Everybody's been talking about it, including us. I want to ask you guys, has it been too much coverage? Too much credit given to Jeremy Lin?
I don't know. I mean, I think because he's the top story so much, people kind of get tired of it. I know I've sort of gotten tired at least of the Lin-related puns. But, I think what you're seeing is that when the NFL goes away, and before college basketball gets fired up, because it hasn't really taken focus yet, people will start paying major attention when championship week starts in March. But you see that vacuum that develops once the NFL is gone. Baseball hasn't started. There's this vacuum that's got to be filled by something. And so here it is. And I think something else is that because he's in New York and because he's in a major media market, people can latch on to this, and they're going to ride it for as long as they can. So I think it will start to be toned down once spring training games get going, once the NCAA tournament gets going, or if he starts to struggle a little bit. But until then, there's this vacuum that's been created, and ESPN's going to fill it with something. It might as well be this guy.
I agree, though. You can only talk about pitchers and catchers so much. You can only preview the Masters so much. You can only talk about the NFL Combine so much until you have to find a bigger story, a Tebow-like story, to fill the spots,
First of all, you can talk about pitchers and catchers all you want.
Agree.
But the Lin thing, I mean, he's good. We know he's good now, and I think that should be it. Like it's not a surprise anymore. He's really not surprising anybody when he gets 25 and 10. And then, I agree with Andrew. I think once baseball season starts, it's going to be toned down a lot.
Sure.
Speaking of baseball, guys, we got your pick on surprise and player with the most improved in spring training. I want to get your surprise baseball team this year as we hit spring training right now.
My surprise team is the San Francisco Giants. As you guys both know, the NL West is up for grabs this year. There's really no front runner, but I believe with the Giants pitching staff, they had 4 guys, first team in history to get 4 players with at least 1 Cy Young vote.
They're always going to have pitching.
And then
always.
And then you got Pablo Sandoval, and you got Sanchez and Huff, and guys like that kind of have a little bit something to prove this year, because they made that great run in 2010 winning the World Series, but last year they kind of dipped off. I think that they're going to have a little chip on their shoulder, and they're going to come out swinging.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. You know what? I think I'll go with Oakland. I think the A's kind of see the changes that have happened in the West, and I think Texas maybe is going to look a little more shaky. The Angels obviously look better with C.J. Wilson and with Pujols, but at the same time, all of a sudden you see them kind of deciding, we're going to get this new stadium, we're going to try and make a run at it. They signed Cespedes. They have signed a minor league deal to Manny Ramirez. I think this is a team that's a little bit better than they've played the last couple of years. They traded Andrew Bailey. They traded Gio Gonzalez. But you know that Billy Beane's just continually building up that farm system. There will be other guys to step in and replace them. And they could be one of those teams that sticks around and makes noise. Maybe they probably won't win the West, but they will still be above 500, I think, or at least near 500 when you get to the All-Star break. And for that would be a pretty good year for them if they don't taper off and then start to build towards once they can move into their new stadium.
I still don't think the Giants have enough offense, especially since they didn't re-sign Carlos Beltran. It
will be important to see how Buster Posey comes back.
Right.
If he can be healthy, Bruce Bochy has said under no circumstances are you to ever block the plate again. Just let them slide, get out of the way. But if Posey can come back healthy and be, the guy he was at the end of 2010 and for the first half of last year, and can give them that offensive production. I mean, he's not going to replace Carlos Beltran, but he can step in there and give them some of that offense that they need. And I mean, you talked about their pitching staff. They need 2-3 runs most of the time. You get them 3 runs, and Lincecum, guys like that, they're just going to come in.
This is the season of hope, though, guys, because literally every team thinks they're going to go 162
Absolutely.
Every team thinks they got a shot at the whole thing. It'll be very interesting to see. We're all excited for baseball season. I can tell it.
For sure.
But on that note, we're going to wrap things up there. I want to thank Sam Zucker, Sports Information Assistant for VU, and Andrew Stem, solid performer as always on Valpo SportsNite. He's a sports reporter for WVUR. I'm Drew Taylor. I want to thank you for watching. See you next time here on Valpo SportsNite.